Linda Frederica Griffiths' home in Cloverdale, California. Now, Linda Frederica Griffiths has got quite a family, and we're just a very small part of it. But she has how many? Let's see, how many grandchildren? Do you guys know how many grandchildren?
54 or 55.
54 or 55 grandchildren. And great-grandchildren?
And great-grandchildren.
Yeah. Okay, well, that's really neat. Now, Mother, you've had a very interesting life, and we'd like to ask you some questions, you know, about when you were small. I was always interested in hearing when Grandma Broman used to take you to Midvale. Would you tell us and buy you certain things and stuff? Would you tell us that story?
My mother had a car for herself. She used to make butter and take butter and eggs to Midvale, to the store. And then she used to have her own car.
Her own buggy? Her own horse and her own buggy?
And her own buggy, yeah. And she used to drive. And sometimes she'd take one of us with her, but she not always. And she'd buy us different things and went down there to eat. And then we had a surrey, what we called a surrey. And that was when the whole family'd go. We'd go to Salt Lake to visit different people. And and one time, and my mother was pregnant, was going to have a baby, and the horses run. My dad left the reins on the ground, and the horses ran away with my mother in it. And that was when, let's see who was born. What? I don't know which one was born. Well, anyhow, the horses ran away, and she couldn't get out. If she hadn't been pregnant, she could have got out and got the reins and stopped them. But they went to the other town, and the men come with shovels, and they stopped them. Just if they'd have turned around the corner, they'd have tipped over. But they didn't. So she was safe and sound and come back, and we still went to Salt Lake. That's how we used to travel. And
how long did it take you to get to Salt Lake?
Gosh, I don't know. I was so little I've been paying attention to it. I don't know how long it takes.
Probably a long time.
Yeah. We'd go different places. Now, once a year, we'd go to Wandamere, a place called Wandamere, and Mother'd make ice cream, and we'd have all kinds of goodies. Then we'd each get 50 cents. We'd each get 50 cents as kids to spend on the merry-go-round and that.
I'll be darned.
And that was our celebration, for the 4th of July.
4th of July once a year?
Once a year we'd go there on the 4th of July in this Surrey. And we just thought that was great. That was just great. And you could ride for 5 cents then. And we used to have the best time. My mother used to make the best food. She used to have fried chicken and everything, and everything so nice. And then she'd make a great big freezer of ice cream, and she just did everything like that for us. So that was once a year we'd do that.
Tell me the story about when you were little and you loved to ride horses, and that horse. Tell me about that horse that bucked you under the chicken coop.
That was funny. I was supposed to get baptized. That was when I was supposed to get baptized. And I don't know how. My brother used to have a pulley and ride this horse, and it'd go on this, pull this hay up on top of a haystack. And I guess it's kind of wild. And he was going to put it away, so I got it on it. and it bucked me on top of the chicken coop. And here, it didn't hurt me in any way. But mother and them wouldn't let me go. They wouldn't let me go be baptized. And I've always wondered, I used to say, well, how do I know? I don't remember getting baptized. She said, well, don't worry, they got records of it. And here I never did get baptized as the rest of the kids. Because I got bucked up on top of the chicken coop. But I used to be awful about that.
But
I know.
she's told me about the time she was baptized in the Jordan River.
How is it? Is it good?
Were you baptized in the Jordan River? Give Grandma some popcorn.
Yeah, I was going to be baptized in the Jordan River. Oh. I was supposed to get baptized in the Jordan River. Well, I don't know how I ever got baptized or where. I can't remember. But that's where I was supposed to get baptized. Was in the Jordan River.
Go ahead and eat your popcorn.
And then when my sister, Bruna,
Irma?
she used to go with a guy that had a horse. And he'd come to see her on this horse. And every time I did, I'd sneak out and get on it, and away I'd go on this horse. I thought that was great because it was a real nice horse. Of course, the horses we had was just horses on the farm that we used to just ride down to the pasture, things like that.
Didn't Grandpa Broman have a bull that charged him one time?
You what?
Had a bull and charged him, and he had to take his pitchfork and put it against the barn, and the bull ran right into it?
Yeah. Yeah, that. We had a little part where they used to go out, and all that. I was scared that time because I thought sure this bull was going to get him, but he had this pitchfork, and the bull ran right into the pitchfork. So he went back. But if he hadn't had that picture, that bull probably would have killed him. Yeah. Well, he was an awful mean bull. They didn't keep him too long. But I used to have milk cows before I go to school and things like that.
Feed chickens?
Well, I didn't have to feed chickens once, it wasn't very much, but I know I used to have to milk. Sometimes I'd have to milk a cow before I'd go to school.
Did you ever have to churn the butter?
Yeah. But then later on we got a regular separator. So, but before that we used to make our own butter. Mother used to make her own butter and peddle it in Midville. And then, see, we used to have all kinds of food. We never wanted for food, but it was food like it was frozen. And she used to make the best sausages you ever tasted in your life. She make sausages. And then when she'd go to Midville, she'd always buy some fresh meat, like a big steak or something like that, some fresh meat, because we didn't have fresh meat all the time. We'd have plenty of meat and stuff, but it'd usually be frozen or something else.
How old were you this year? How old on your birthday, November 11th?
This year, how old was I? 93.
93.
I was born in 1896.
1896.
Yeah.
What about that time Lester your husband took you for a ride on the motorcycle?
Oh, that was something. He just bought a motorcycle. My sister lived in Murray, Utah. And so I didn't know he didn't know how to ride a motorcycle. So here we was going to go there for dinner. She had dinner. So here I got on the motorcycle, and I fell off. And he didn't even know I fell off. He kept going until he finally discovered, here I was laying out on the ground. Then he come back, and we went to Midville. And we went to Sandia, where it was.
You had the dinner with your sister.
And we went there and got home safe. It's the one that we did. But we did, but he didn't keep that motorcycle very long. He sold it.
Did he?
Yeah.
Huh.
Because I think he was always nervous about it.
Uh-huh.
So he didn't keep it very long. That was awful that time.
Do any of your children have any questions that you want to ask Grandma about her when she was little? Did you have any Barbie dolls?
No. We never had anything like that.
Didn't have any dolls, or did you?
We'd have dolls, but we'd have these China dolls.
Oh,
You know, they had China heads, and,
uh-huh.
but we never had things like the kids have now,
Uh-huh.
those kind of dolls
Hmm.
and things like that. And we used to have our Christmas tree, and just to put ornaments on them, you know, and each one could choose the kind of ornament they wanted.
Oh.
And we always kept the Christmas tree for the 13th day, and then my mother and dad would have a party, and then they'd call up dancing out the Christmas tree.
Huh.
And they'd have a party, and that would be the end of the Christmas tree.
On the 13th of January?
Yeah, the 13th of January.
I'll be darned.
We got
And
rid
did
of-
you have candles then on your Christmas tree?
No, we never had candles then.
No.
But after we was married that time, you know, before Wanda was born, I was pregnant with Wanda.
Uh-huh.
They had candles on. Grandma Griffiths had candles on her tree,
Oh.
and she was going out, and she said, "Now you be careful with the trees," she said when we went out. Well, I didn't know what they did when they was lighting the tree, but it caught on fire.
Oh, dear.
And I just got out there in time, and I threw the Christmas tree outside.
Oh.
And then the father said to me, "You shouldn't do that. Didn't you know what kind of a condition you was in?" And I said, "Well, I couldn't help it. I never thought about that. I just thought about getting rid of the trees so the house wouldn't burn down."
Wait, you were pregnant with Wanda?
Yeah, I was
Oh.
pregnant, and I was almost time to be born.
I'll be darned.
Yeah.
Ladine, do you have any questions to ask Mother about her when she was a little girl? That might be interesting.
Gee, this sure makes good popcorn, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It makes real good popcorn, doesn't it?
Oh, yeah. That'd be good. Where'd Wanda go?
Went up to her apartment real quick.
Huh? Coming home, we just joined Mutual, and we come coming home at
To
night.
talk to Jacob.
It's pitch dark. It's pitch dark outside. Can't see your hand straight in front of me. We were singing, "Nebuchadnezzar, the King of Jews, sold his ox for a pair of shoes." We were singing that all the way home. Then all of a sudden, the whole sky got lit up. Oh, and we thought we getting punished. Oh, and we got so scared. And we didn't know what it was. And we went home, and we never did tell. And I was too scared to tell my mother. And then we found out it was a meteor. A meteor fell, and it lit the whole sky up. You wouldn't believe it. And here we thought we'd been punished.
For singing that song.
Nebuchadnezzar, the King of Jews, sold his ox for a pair of shoes.
Did you go to a primary when you were little? Did you go to church
Yeah.
every Sunday?
Mm-hmm.
And tell us a little bit about your friends at church. Did you ever give talks or anything like that?
No. And it's funny in those days. I know that when we had this one, we never did go to Mutual and that, because that wasn't for young people, just for old ladies. You know,
For which
Mutual.
side?
Except because they didn't, kids, younger women didn't go. And some of these girls used to teach, see, I don't know what grade they was teaching, but the person that was teaching, she was in love with some guy that used to come in there, and she talked and fooled around so much with him that we didn't even know what she's saying half the time.
Mm-hmm.
Things like that they used to do.
Mm-hmm.
But we was too scared to report them or anything.
Mm-hmm.
Funny things happen.
Did,
Ask about how she feels about Jesus. She does real well with the testimony of Jesus.
yeah, why don't you tell us how you feel now about Jesus Christ and about the church?
I know the church is true, and I know that God lives and Jesus is the Christ, and I'm thankful that I can go to church every day as long as I can. And I love to go to church, and we have the nicest people in our ward, and you ever know, oh, we have the grandest ward. And everybody's so nice. They come and put their arms around you and love you, and they're so nice. And our Relief Society teachers and our home teacher came yesterday, here and brought me a box of candy, this kind of candy that had fruit in it. That kind of candy he brought me a box.
Yeah.
And they're all so nice to us in the ward. And this one, Neil and his wife, they was the one that came and gave me that beautiful pink sweater.
Yeah.
And now he just had his leg operated on.
Oh.
He's got diabetes,
Dear.
and he had his leg operated on. So now he's going back to Idaho. They got a big, beautiful home in Idaho. So now I think not tomorrow or the next day they're going back to Idaho for a while.
He's sure a nice man, and he sure has a lovely wife. And
Oh yes, she's a wonderful person.
they're very unselfish people.
Oh, and when they was in our ward, oh, they was so wonderful to us in their ward.
Well, that's good. Is
Yeah,
there
they
anything else you'd like to tell us? Anything that you can think of?
Huh?
Anything else that you...
Yeah. Tell Jacob how it used to be when he was a little boy, when you take care of he and Kim and Laura. Remember when you used to babysit?
Remember when you used to babysit him when he was a little boy?
Oh yes.
And tell us a little bit about that.
Well, Kim and I, you was so little, and you used to just run up that hill, and I was scared to death when he'd go up that hill. But he got a friend up there. He'd always go up to see this friend. Well and then when he was home, we'd feed him, sit him in the high chair and feed him. And Kim would try to teach him to spit. Do you remember that? She would try to teach him to spit, and I said, Kim, don't do that. You teach him to spit now, and then they're going to punish him when he gets older if he does that. She just laughed. And then she'd wrap you all up in a blanket and sit and rock you and sing to you in the blanket. And then when I ever watched you, I'd read to you, because you always liked me to read to you. But I'll never forget your little feet running up that hill, all by yourself, to visit your friend. And there was cars coming along on that street and everything. But you got there safe and back home.
Well, I should ask her something about Terry Lee and about Jack. But usually kids, when they see this, that it'll be personal to them.
Yeah. Do you remember anything about Terry Lee and Jack when they were little? Remember we lived there in Terralinda and you took care of them Remember how Jack used to always dress up, I remember, in clothes? I don't remember that.
Or does she remember the trip to Hawaii that you took with them? Maybe she can think of something from them.
Or the trip to Hawaii? Remember the trip to Hawaii we all took?
Yeah. Yeah, I remember that.
I think that's going back so far as she...
No, let's see, I can't think of it.
That's okay.
That's all right.
Didn't Jack fall down and knock his teeth out or something?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, he fell in the chair in his front teeth and he just knocked them right out.
Yeah.
They were baby teeth. Thank
Yeah.
goodness.
And I know, whatchamacallit, Terry Lee, she used to hate to make her bed. Oh, she used to hate to make her bed. She's still that way after she got married. She says, I told her, she said to her husband, sometimes I don't feel like making the bed, and I won't make the bed someday, so you just know. But she says, I hate to make beds. And she used to hate me. And I used to make her bed for her because I didn't want her to get in any trouble.
That's a good story.
Remember how you used to watch after Keith and you'd never snitch on Keith, remember?
Oh, yeah. I remember that. And then Karen used to drive him crazy. She used to call every place under the sun. And she'd say, Grandma just is worried to death about you. And here I wasn't worried about him at all. I knew he was all right. And he'd come home safe and sound. But she'd try to tell me, she'd call him and drive him crazy. And she'd say it was me that was worried about him. But she would not let him alone till she knew he was home.
Yeah, she was the one that was worried about him.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay, is there anything else?
I'm sure there's something about Terry or Laura.
Do you remember anything about Teresa or Terry or Laura?
When we lived there in Grants Pass, and they used to come over to our house, maybe. I just remember someone that'd come over to our house and stay overnight.
Well, she remembers Keenan used to come over there.
Well, they
Remember when
did
the girls used to come over and stay all night at your house?
Yeah,
In
They-
Grants Pass.
They'd sleep in that bed,
yeah,
and you'd set up the television for them so they could watch television.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Laura, I just got a picture of her little girl right there.
Uh-huh.
The one that's in
Yeah, Laura.
Arizona.
You're
Yeah.
right, that's Laura.
Yeah. Well, I got a letter from her the other day, a card, and she sent me that picture right there.
Uh-huh.
And she's getting along fine,
Yeah.
and
She used to have hay fever real bad when we lived there in Grants Pass. Laura did.
yeah.
Is that good?
Laura, she was quite an athlete, wasn't she?
Yes, she was.
Yeah, she really was.
Yeah, she was a real track star.
She had so many trophies, and she could run, and
Yeah, she was really good.
is she getting along now?
Yeah, she's doing fine.
Good.
She's fine.
Okay, Jake.
Okay. All right, honey. I guess that's all. Unless can you think of anything else you'd like to say?
Can't think of
I'd
it.
like her to say something. Ask, so it can be on the thing. Ask her to remember about, what she remembers about my mother and Grandma Bevan.
Oh,
That's good
can
for
you
them.
tell us what you remember about Ladine's mother and the little grandma, her mother?
I know, I can remember about her mother. Her mother was a wonderful person. I loved her mother. She was a wonderful person. And, well,
No, she can't remember about Grandma, that's okay. That's okay.
Okay, honey. All right, fade it out, Jake.